Hello everyone. In this video on my tool xOrganizer I will give a short overview of the basics. I will post more videos with in-depth explanations later. But first let we start fresh and see what happens if we start the tool for the first time. As you can see, I've installed it on my D drive in the root. And after you start my tool, you will see this little screen in which you can choose the modules you want to use. For now we'll just let them all be selected and move on. Next you will have to select the main explain folder, the root, which is on my desktop in this example. This is just a message that the next start the tool will be much faster. And here we are in the main screen. In the main screen you will see several tabs. The first tab is the custom scenery tab related to your scenery. In this tab you can order your scenery and enable or disable them. I'll leave all the other options and buttons for later. The second tab is about plugins and scripts, which can be found in the resources folder. The third tab is about the explain preferences. For instance, if you use a VR setup, you could switch between VR and a normal setup. The fourth tab is about airports, because the packages in the scenery folder can contain multiple airports, and in this screen you can see which airports are included. The next tab is about the scenery coverage, in which you can see what part of the world you've got covered with your scenery. For instance, now you can see that I have most of Europe covered. And the last tab is a toolbox in which you can store version information. For instance, here you can see the versions of some libraries, but also you can store a download link. At the start of the tool you could see that there were 3 modules. You can switch these modules on or off with the settings, and then the first tab you see the same 3 modules. Let's say you only want to use my tool with the scenery. You just switch off the other 2, click on apply, and now you see only the custom scenery tab and the other tabs which are also related to scenery. But if you want to use it only for plugins and scripts, you just select that one and you'll see only that tab. But it's not only about hiding tabs. If you deselect a module, the tool will completely ignore the other modules. So it will also skip any scans. So you can expect it to be a little bit faster. I'll select them for all for now. And explain a bit more about these 3 red buttons. Each module has its own task. As long as the button is red, it's off, nothing will happen in the explain folder. So this is the task of the scenery, this is the task of the plugins, and this is the task of the preferences. If I close the tool, nothing will happen now. But as soon as I switch one on, it turns green and now it's active. Any changes I make right now will only be saved when the task is executed. So not right away. So when are tasks executed? Tasks are executed when the tool closes. So, for instance, if I start explain with this button, it will start explain and close the tool, and the task will be executed. If I push this button, close the tool, it will also close the tool and execute the tasks. In this example, only the green task. You can also use the red cross here. But there's also one other method to make the tool execute the tasks. In the action menu there is a option execute all tasks. If I use that one, you can see it executed the first task. The other two tasks were off. This is exactly the same as would happen if I close the tool. If you close the tool, you will not see a separate message that the tasks are executed. So how can you check what the tool does? In the actions menu you can see show log file. As you can see, a lot is logged. And if you go to the bottom, you can see what tasks were executed. Here you can see that it created a ini file for the scenery. It backupped the original, and you can also see that the other two tasks were off, so nothing happened there. I will leave most of the settings and the action menu for later videos. This one might be useful. It's in the first tab, the dark skin. If you like a dark mode, maybe combined with extra contrast, which is yellow on black, you see it's easy to select. And also this one, you can choose a larger font if you like that. And of course also without the dark mode. One final setting I would like to show is this one, in the support tab, create support package. Sometimes when an error occurs, it's helpful to see the exact database and some log files. With this button you can create a zip package with all the files needed for support. Well, you can save it anywhere, but I'll save it on the desktop for now. As you can see, it is this file, and if you send me a message, well, it's always helpful to include this zip file. For the last part, I want to show some things you can find in the folder of the tool. As you can see, the log is in the root of the folder. This one is also important, the backups folder. As you can see, it backups the database. It also backs up the preferences if that task is used, and the scenery packs ini file. As you can see, it stores by default 25 versions, so there should be a version which could help you to restore if something goes wrong. Same with the database, only 3 now, but by default 25. The database itself, it's in the data folder, and it's the top one. Let's say that something went wrong and you want to restore the previous database. Just rename, just to be sure, the current database by giving it an extension back. You pick one of the previous databases, copy, and now you'll have to remove the date and time part, so you will have the previous version now. If you start the tool, it will restore to the version of that time. the same you can do with the scenery packs ini file, of course. Previous logs are also stored. Well, that's all for this video. Like I said, I will post more videos on my tool later, but I hope this first start helps. Bye.